Hi, what do you think? Do you think people still sew by hand without a sewing machine? Voila, I do. That's the first time I was taught how to sew without a sewing machine. What I'm gonna do is a ribbon skirt. I've already folded the edges up where I'm gonna just, this is gonna be my hem because I'm taking it the long ways. It's gonna be a long skirt. And this end will be where I will fold it and have the elastic to go through it. So I bought me some elastic. This is 3/4. I always buy elastic. I don't know why. I just buy it. So I got 3/4, this little roll. Probably got another one somewhere around the house, but I'm going to use the 3/4, not all of it. And I'll let you know how many inches. And then here, what I did is Walmart has this section. This is 100% cotton. And what I'm going to do is use nothing but cotton to make my ribbon skirts. And so you'll see on the wall they do 1 yard, 2 yards. But the pretty prints, they never, ever have, they never have the pretty prints or different type of prints. They have the solid colors in the 2 yards, but you can get different prints. But this is one I like because I love feathers. And I'm gonna make some earrings to go with it as well, and a necklace. Okay, so they come like this, and they be in the material section. It doesn't make a difference where you buy your material, but as it say, I got 1 yard, but I end up getting 2 yards. So these is 2 yards. So each one, I will fold. Like I said, I'm using this end instead of at the end. I'm using this end where the waist part in because it's not raveling. And so I'm gonna fold it maybe 1 inch. I'm gonna fold it. And I'll have no more than a half to 1 inch. I'm gonna fold it. And I'm gonna have the elastic to go through. But before then, what I'll be doing is adding the ribbons, the decoration on it first. And so, even though I've already did this part for the end, the ends, when I'm saying ends, some people put a smaller end edge and do it different kind of ways. This person, they did a small stitching. But I don't want to because I want it to be a certain length. And I'm not going to cut it. It gives me room to adjust it if I choose to turn back around later and make it shorter or longer. So I've already did this with the safety pins. I'm saying safety pins, the stick pins. Sometimes I run a whole bunch of them, but I'm just spreading this all the way down. This one is already complete. And so I'm doing the ends first, and then I'll go back and I'll do I'll go back and I'll do the decoration because that's a separate project by itself because that's where a seamstress or a person that's doing it as a hobby, they put all their artwork into what they're planning to do. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that when you're folding this over that it is even with the other material, that these line up perfectly, because you don't want one side to be short and the other side be long, and you usually tell. So you want to fold it off over equally where this and this are the same size. And so this is just for people that's never stitched by hand. And so what I do is make sure you get a little stick pin cushion, this, and I press it in and take it under and push it out. But you don't want it together. You want it to stay smooth. Because you might get tired and say, oh, I don't feel like hand stitching this. I want to put it on a sewing machine. There's nothing wrong with that. You can do either or. You can do both. But if you're a good stitcher, you don't need a sewing machine. If you can stitch by hand, then you don't need a sewing machine. And you just run it down. And since I did it before, I'm just making sure that everything is matching up. So I don't want it to overlap bigger than the other, longer than the other in length. And so you can do this. You can take both of these and match them up to make sure they match up evenly. That's by saying, I'm going to take this loose and I'm going to do it like run it right here. Let me tell you why. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on and match this up like this. I'm going to put some more pins in here. But what I want to do is show you what else I do. About a 1/2 inch. I want to take this way. Let me tell you why. Because this is my size. And you want to make sure your sides are evenly matched. So you stretch it out to make sure it's evenly matched. Before you even do any sewing, you want to make sure that everything is perfect. About as perfect as you can get it. And be careful. It's good to have a thumb alone, but I never do wear one. Put one on my finger. So I'm going to leave that like that. And I'm going to go back and run my bobby pins. I keep saying bobby pins, my stick pins. Every so often down here. It's a guider. You want to make sure the bobby pins are long enough to go through the material. Yes. So I've completed this step. And normally what I do is I turn back around, match them back up. This is doing a ribbon skirt without a pattern, because you really don't need one. Ribbon skirts are more like an A-line skirt. They're not fitted. So they flourish out and bloom out. So there you go. I'm just attaching that together until I get, in case I get, I'm going to unhatch it. I'm just hatching it as a guider. So I got it as a guider. So the next thing I'm going to do, everything matched up. I'm going to take these two out at the ends since they matched up evenly. And what I want to do is make sure that I separate it and make sure that they're inside out facing to each other. What is inside out? Okay, this is inside. And you want the outside of the other one to match up. So you're going to have inside to inside touching each other. The reason being is when you lay your ribbon, you want it to lay evenly. And so what I'm doing is turn back around and I'm matching it up to make sure that everything lines up perfectly. My mother showed me how to sew before even getting on a sewing machine. I took a sewing machine class in high school, but for sewing, I learned from my mother. And this was without a sewing machine, how to stitch without a sewing machine. Because sometime in life you can get a needle and you can repair things, you can hem things up without a sewing machine. If your hands are steady and you stay consistent with your line work, then it'll be perfect and tight. So both of them inside out, as you can see. Just imagine this being a skirt. No. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm working with the ends. Right. I'm going to turn it. What I'm doing is doing it halfway. Match it both halfway. Making sure the ends match. And you adjust it accordingly. You adjust it accordingly. Sometimes material is not cut evenly, and sometimes you have to go and recut it. So I have the edges, the bottom tail, which I later on, the top tail. I'm calling this the top tail because even though I can use this as the bottom and turn it over, or I can use this where I will put my elastic in, which I might do that instead. Really doesn't make a difference. But what I like is to have this part, because when they did a press stitch, it sealed the edges and it's less likely to ravel at the end. They sealed it with their thing. So, and it kind of gives you a guide. So even if I wanted to run a small stitch sewing, I can use this line guider to do so, like they did on this skirt. So what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to do that. But it what I'm going to do, I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is something totally different. I might just heat press it. Never know what I might do. But the main thing that I want to do is the hard part. I call it the hard part, is creating my own design on this feathers. Since I'm letting this be the bottom where your feet would go, your legs would go, you want to lay it on a flat surface, most definitely. And you want to always, like I keep saying before, make sure that your edges and ends meets up well. You can fold it up again to make it more user-friendly as a guide. So the reason I'm not stitching the sides yet or putting the lace in, the elastic in, is because I have to create a design. Oh, wait.